Hey guys, this is Nomiki Konst here for TYT Politics and the Young Turks. We are live at the Phoenix DNC Forum, the Futures Forum, where they're talking about the future positions of the Democratic National Committee, including the chairs, the vice chairs, the secretaries, all the different positions that make up the DNC. And it is packed. You don't just have the DNC members here, you have activists, supporters, people are chanting for their different candidates. It's almost like a mini convention all over again with an entirely different constituency voting. So we're going to go out and talk to some of the members, see what they're thinking, if they're feeling different things than what the actual DNC voters are feeling. Because I think what's important for us to remember here is DNC members, for the most part, have been part of the party for a very long time. They are not, traditionally they don't answer to constituents, although some take that as their role. Some have been chairs of their party and want to win elections or have strategies to win elections. These are political players. And so I want to talk to them and figure out what they're thinking, how they're working through the reasoning, what they're looking at in each of the candidates, if there's any other factors that we're just not aware of. Because it's really important that the voters of the Democratic Party know what's happening within the Democratic Party. And right now, frankly, there's only a couple members of the press here. So you guys have a special inside perspective here at the DNC Future Forums, where we're going to go out there and talk to those DNC members, figure out what they're thinking. Tom, how are you feeling?
Good. Good to see you.
I know. All right, we have the honor here to be standing with a DNC member, but he's also the chair of Our Revolution and the former head of the CWA.
Hey, how are you?
This is Larry Cohen.
Great to be with you.
So we're going into this event right now.
Yeah.
It's quite unprecedented to have this sort of forum and several of them. What's different about this time around?
Well, I think a lot's at stake. We're not only electing a DNC chair, we're trying to change the way the party operates, the Unity Reform Commission, and I think in combination, it's wide open in terms of, what will Democrats be and how will they behave.
You've been a member for a long time.
Yeah.
There are a lot of structural issues, cultural issues here. Running for chair it's not like just running for office.
Right.
It does require a certain level of understanding how to run races and win races. What is the slate of chairs, the people that are running right now, who do you think is best equipped to do so?
Well, I'm actively supporting Keith Ellison. Our Revolution is supporting Keith. We've turned out a lot of these folks today that are Our Revolution members and supporters who live in this area. And so why am I doing that? Because my belief is we need to organize, not just sort of operate the way the party has, not raise money. Yes, we need to raise money, but it should be about how many donors do we have and not just how much money do they have.
There was this moment, I actually tweeted it out, where you were talking about how there are a lot of young people who have wanted to get involved in the party in the past, and often at the state level, they're not included, and then they never come back. I've heard that as a former YD. I was a former Young Democrat, and I saw a lot of my friends leave the party that were active Democratic parties. What are you going to do to change the culture? And it's not just the culture at the national level, but the culture at the state level, so that we get rid of that, whatever that is that's creating that problem.
Well, I think we have to start by calling it like it is. And a lot of the conversation today was about, clearly, because we're running for chair of the DNC, what happens at 430 South Capitol in Washington, D.C. But there needs to be accountability at the state party as well, because in Texas, I was a Texas Young Democrat. I happen to actually be executive director of Texas Young Democrats. I sat in the state party and saw and heard some of the most anti-democratic values being expressed, had to fight against people who I thought were supposed to be my allies, and I packed up my Datsun 310, left the state of Texas, got to DC with $10 in my pocket, and went into nonprofit organizations and decided that was going to be my way of organizing. But luckily, I was able to find my way back to the party because of opportunities that people gave me by opening up doors in a way that didn't happen at the state party level, for me to go into the DNC and build a program from the scratch to really bring in young women into the party for the first time.
You're not just speaking to the party, you're speaking to these members. And a lot of these members are those party members that have been there Some have even said, nope, you can't run for office until you start at the bottom or kiss my ring. How are you going to convince a lot of these people, and it's not all of them, there's a diversity of membership. How are you going to convince some of the old guard that has been there for a long time and doesn't see anything wrong? How are you going to convince them that your ideas are the ones that are going to move the party forward?
Well, I certainly think that my experience is going to be an opportunity to start a conversation with them. There are many members. I worked at the DNC 20 years ago. There are many members at the DNC right now who were there when I was a staff person, and they are still in control of their little piece of the pie in whatever area that they are from. And I know that they started their activism within the party because we all have shared values. We all agree on the type of country we want to have, the type of values that drive us to get engaged in this work. We are all evangelists for good, and someone in leadership has to have a very hard conversation with these members about how they need to find new ways of giving and participating to allow those new voices in.
So that gets to the question about the budget. It blew my mind in the DNC chair meeting. No one's seen the budget of the Democratic Party about this.
My question is, if you are elected chair of the DNC, will the budget of the DNC be a secret to DNC members and the members of the executive committee and the vice chairs?
Okay. So I understand that this is a simple yes or no question. The chances of any of you giving a simple yes or no is about 0.
I myself don't know all the inner workings of the DNC. I'm on the outside looking in, but I can certainly tell you that transparency and accountability will be a priority if I'm elected chair.
I'm the vice chair of the DNC, one of them, as ASDC president. I have no more idea than the person sitting in the back on where the money is spent at the DNC or how much is raised. It is absolutely ridiculous. The officers need to get monthly reports, the executive committee quarterly, and the annual report to the full DNC. The officers weren't even told that we took out millions of dollars worth of loans just before the election. We had no idea.
So one of the things I'll say is I met with some of the members who are amazing in the Western Party, right? Who are totally pissed off and fantastic people. And all of them talked about the fact that they couldn't see the budget. That's crazy. From a business perspective, right? I'm coming from that area. From a nonprofit perspective, I don't care who you are. If you don't know how much money is coming in and how it's allocated, that feels more corrupt to me than anything.
A lot of times young people they want to get involved in the party, and they're rejected usually at the local level, the state level. I know that personally, that was my experience. So that spoke to me. But the other thing, the other side of that is it's expensive. It's just really expensive to run for office. Yeah. Or maybe it even doesn't need to be as expensive anymore because of the technology. I mean, there's so many other things that are happening. But the barriers of entry are they're there. They're definitely there. What are you going to do as chair that eliminates those barriers of entry, especially if there are things that maybe they don't even need to be barriers anymore? Maybe there's a cheaper way of doing things because you've got technology there.
Well, I think one of the things is, and that's what we're trying to do with the Clyburn Fellowship. Part of the problem is just a lack of knowledge of what it means to actually run for office, right? In terms of fundraising, what does that mean? How can you raise money? There are ways that you can do it that doesn't require tons of money, but it requires a lot of elbow grease. It requires a lot of you getting on the phone. And so we are trying to teach our young people the techniques that they need to know and give them the understanding that they need to know in order to be successful if they decide that they want to run for office. That's really, really important. So the thing that I want to do as chair is, one, make sure that our state parties, which is the foundation for which candidate recruitment happens, the training happens and all, have the sufficient resources that they need in order to equip the young people, equip all of the people who want to run for office. We have to do that. But we also need to make sure that that state parties also have the resources to even set up a fellowship like the Clyburn Fellowship. Right now, if you ask me what is the biggest problem with the Democratic Party, I would say that for the past 8 years, we have neglected our state party institutions. And they are drying up like a grape on a vine. There's some state parties now who barely have $50,000 cash on hand, and in 2 years will have to defend either a U.S. Senate seat or they have to try to pick up a governor's race. That can't happen. You have to have the resources. And I know people say, well, it's not about money. And I agree. I hate that money is so important, but that is the reality of the situation. And until we can get a constitutional amendment or something in order to change that, we're going to have to deal with that reality. And the fact is that our state parties don't have those resources.
I was looking at the numbers past 8 years. We've raised more money as a party. We're at the Democratic event. The Democrats have raised more money than they've ever raised in the history of the Democratic Party. Record numbers, yet it's not going to state parties. Where's the money going?
TV ads. And do you watch? And do
I did
you?
not expect that answer.
No, well, it's the truth. It's going to TV ads. You have created this consultant class that has gotten rich off of television ads. And things like mail and radio. And not that those things are bad things, because they're all important components, but it can't be the end-all be-all. You got to invest in grassroots activities. You got to invest in actually hiring people to do field operations, to knock on doors. I mean, in addition to having volunteers, but you also have to have some paid staff to do those type of things. You have to have people out in the communities who are talking to people, and we have forgotten to do that. And as a result, we have lost that connection that we used to have with working people. We can't just rely on TV ads, and we can't just rely on mail or on radio ads and expect to get the same results that we have gotten in the past. You also see that we don't do signs anymore.
Yeah.
You know what? Because consultants don't get a commission off of signs. I mean, it's one of those things that is the biggest travesties in politics today, and we just fundamentally have to change that. Let's invest a percentage. I wish the Clinton campaign would have put, I think Secretary Clinton raised $1.2 billion.
Not to mention the super PACs.
Not to mention super PACs.
Crazy.
I wish a portion of that 0.2, could have been given to state parties. And I guarantee you we would have made up the difference in the less than 100,000 votes that really made the determination of whether or not we have Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton as president.
We talked about where the money's going in the party. You said that too much is spent on ads. Can you explain that?
There's a lot of question out there when I talk about the massive restructuring of how we need to do a massive investment in our state parties and the local committees, because I believe it has been proven now through New Hampshire and other states that organizing a local committee and making sure that they have the right tools to organize their own neighborhood, that's the most effective way of campaigning, because it affects the turnout, and they actually have a relationship with the voter that can override anything that may be on TV, which fewer and fewer people are actually watching mainstream TV. So all spending billions, not millions, but billions of dollars on corporate media that is simply just making a few people in Manhattan or elsewhere very, very rich, but aren't really reaching the voters. They're not having the conversations. And our challenge, when they say, you have a challenge of reaching out, or our message with the white working class, my argument is, let's hire folks from those towns and to talk to their neighbors and give them the skills to be able to discuss what it is that we're really talking about, because one neighbor talking to another neighbor, as I said, is the most important thing. And so then they go, where are you going to find all that money? I'm not proposing that we take 50% of the TV money. I'm not proposing we take 25%. I'm not even proposing that we take 10%. Give me 5% of that. I can only imagine what we could have done if we'd had $3.5 million, that we could have increased the turnout and we would have had the sort of conversations. And I fundamentally believe that that's what we're doing wrong. We're not having conversations. And you read Hillbilly Elegy or any of the other books, and it is about the fact that people don't believe anyone's listening to them. Nobody is hearing them, and nobody understands their concerns. So hire someone from that community to talk to the other people in the community, listen to them, and do a report, and making sure that our message is truly out. It is not rocket science. In fact, it's the old way of doing it. And I think the old way is the best way.
This is Nomiki Konst here in Phoenix for the DNC Future Forum, which pretty much wrapped up as of now. It's been such an enlightening experience being one of the few media outlets here. at the DNC Future Forum because it is a conversation that we are having about the future of the Democratic Party, which clearly has some changes that are coming. And to be here on behalf of TYT and TYT politics, engaging with so many of the different chair candidates and vice chair candidates and candidates for secretary and treasurer, it's inspiring because some of the conversations are not the conversations you think would be happening. At the beginning, the conversations were more about like, who are the Democrats, who do we represent, what are the values, how are we going to defeat Trump? By the end of the weekend, it started getting into the nitty-gritty. We're talking about the economics of the Democratic Party. We're talking about consultants. We're talking about whether the budget is transparent, where we're spending our money, why are we raising so much money. These are the hearty conversations that are happening in the DNC right now, all about the future of the Democratic Party. And for the most part, almost every single candidate addressed these issues. It's a really fascinating time. This is only the first forum. And if we got this far in 2 days with the first forum, I bet you by the end of this process, hopefully all these chairs, these candidates will be on the same page, thinking about the future of the Democratic Party. We'll have sorted out all the issues that needed to be addressed. It really was very encouraging, and I look forward to seeing what happens in the next couple of weeks as the Democratic Party talks about these issues, recruits new people to come into the party. I have hope, I really do, in the Trump era, and more importantly, one thing that I think the Democrats have over the Republicans is the future of the party is undeniably progressive. The question is, how do we make sure that those folks are engaged in the party, get out to vote, so we can defeat Republicans? That's the question here at the DNC Forum. I'm Nomiki Konst. This is TYT Politics, the Young Turks. Until the next forum.